I'm your host, as always, Jake. Hope we're all doing well. We're doing a lot of NFL draft recap. We're also going to talk about the NBA playoff, the NHL playoff, which gets underway tonight, and we got some more as well. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about the NBA playoffs. We got the second round getting underway. We had last night, Bucks beat the Celtics 101-29. Giannis 24 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists. This is in game one of the second round between Milwaukee and Boston. Jason Tatum hits 21 points in Milwaukee. Bucks take game one. In a series, they'll be without Chris Middleton, who's their second best player. So that could be a little tough series to win for Milwaukee. They're coming champs, but they're still a great team, and they take game one. Game one, Golden State and Memphis Warriors win 117-116. Jordan Poole, 31 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. Clay had a big three late in the game. Ja Morant, 34 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists. He had a big game. That was the first playoff game in NBA history where three guys 22 years old or younger had at least 30 points. Jordan Poole had 31, Ja Morant 34, and Jaren Jackson had like 35 or something like that. So that was a very historical moment for that game. So that's what that game had. The Warriors take game one. Big stop at the end by Steph Curry on Ja Morant. He's not known for his defense, but he came for a big stop late in that game last night. Really good defensive play by Steph Curry. And Golden State takes game one between them and the Memphis Grizzlies, 117-116. Ja Morant missed the layup at the end. Just couldn't quite have another game winner. So Warriors go up 1-0 in that one. As for tonight, we got Philly and Miami in game one. It appears Joel Embiid is not going to play in that. He's got an orbital fracture and some concussion symptoms. Of course, he's still playing through that torn ligament in his thumb, so he's really nicked up right now. Expected to miss the first two games of that series, hoping he comes back game three. He or the 1 seed, 6 to the 4 seed. So Philly in Miami tonight in Miami, game one, and then that's 7:30 Eastern time on TNT. 10 o'clock on TNT, we have Dallas against Phoenix in that series. That should be a very good series. Phoenix the 1 seed, Dallas the 4 seed as well. Phoenix beat New Orleans in 6 games. Dallas beat the Utah Jazz in 6 games. So that should be a good series. Game 1 to Phoenix tonight at 10. As for the other series that we haven't mentioned, if there is any we haven't mentioned, was that for the second round? Oh yeah, that's right. There's 2 series in each conference. So that's for the NBA. That's where the NBA playoffs stand right now. So my next obviously did not make the playoffs, and we'll talk about that. But I do want to talk about the Brooklyn Nets a little bit. They're in some real deep trouble. They're in some deep trouble. I saw a stat earlier that they are going to be paying Kyrie Irving $58 million in 2027 if they were to sign him to a max extension. They won't have their own draft pick until 2028 because of the Harden trade that blew up on their face. They are going to be paying Ben Simmons $40 million in 2025, a guy who gives you nothing offensively, $40 million in 2025. Kyrie Irving came out and said that him and Kevin Durant run the team. I mean, I can't stand LeBron James. If you ask me, I think he runs the Lakers organization. But at least he tries to hide it. He tries to pretend that he's not the one running it, and it's really, Rep Lincoln and those guys up there in Los Angeles. But Kyrie came out and said, "Oh yeah, it's KD and I that run the team." He didn't even hide it. I think that's a very arrogant move by him. Players should not run the organization. Whenever they do, it just does not work out. So I agree with him saying that. I don't think that just sends a good message. That's not going to make them a good destination for players to want to come there. And also, the Nets sold less tickets than the New York Knicks. I know the Knicks play in Madison Square Garden, the greatest arena in the entire world. They're in the middle of Manhattan. one of the biggest cities in the world. Manhattan alone might have more people than some states. But the Knicks were 37-45 last year, finished 11th in the East, tied for 11th in the East with Washington, finished like 6 games out of the play-in, a team that was expected to be a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, could not even make the play-ins. Were 8 games under 500, finished had 4 less wins than the year before, and this year they had much higher expectations. On paper, probably had a much better team. We're an absolute dumpster fire. So many, drama throughout the year with Julius Randle struggles and everything like that. And Nets sold less tickets than the New York Knicks. But the Nets play in Brooklyn. They play in just a different borough in New York City. So the Nets being a team that had 44 wins, 43 wins. I think they had 44 wins. Were in the play-ins, and were considered a legit threat to have a deep playoff run, even as only a 7th seed in the East. They play in Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. They can't have more fans than the New York Knicks, who were a complete dumpster fire, finished with just 37 wins. I think the Nets beat them like every single game this year. That just does not make any sense at all. So Nets are in deep trouble right now. They got a lot of decisions. We're assuming Kyrie Irving probably either opts into the last year of his contract, which is worth like $47 million, or maybe he'll opt out, and then he'll resign. He'll either resign a 5-year max extension, or maybe he'll take like a 2 or 3 year max with an opt out to the 1st or 2nd year. So we'll see what he does, but expect him back, and Brooklyn's probably going to extend him. If he's saying he runs the team, it's either, all right, we're going to give him what he wants, which is probably another 4 or 5 year contract extension. Probably worth for at least $40 million, if not $50 million a year, depending on what he can get. What the max is, he won't take a penny less, knowing him. And they don't have any draft picks, they don't have any money. They're paying Durant $40+ million. They're paying Kyrie probably almost $50 million. They're paying Ben Simmons $35+ million. They don't have money to go out and sign guys. You look at some of the free agents they got, like LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin, Patty Mills may or may not be a free agent, I'm not sure. Not all these guys are super important, but like, I think they could use a little LaMarcus Aldridge on their bench. And they're not going to be able to sign, so there's going to be other role players that they won't be able to sign. And they need to get some better role players around Kyrie and Kevin Durant, because outside of those two guys, they really have nothing. And getting Joe Harris healthy next year will help. If they get Ben Simmons on the court, and he can accept his role, all right, instead of being very arrogant and entitled and saying I want to be the starting point guard and I want to always have the ball in my hands, which he showed in Philly just doesn't work. He's not a point guard. He didn't play it in college. He's very versatile, which is a plus on him. Good on him. But he's just not a point guard. And a point guard's got to be able to score a little bit. I mean, there's starting point guards out there that don't score that much. I mean, Marcus Smart probably only averages 10, 12 points a game. I think he's one of the better starting point guards in the NBA because he's also an excellent defender. He's a good passer. He's a really good leader of that Boston Celtics team. They're a leader on that Boston Celtics team. So point guards don't have to, be scoring like Steph Curry, making 7-8 threes every night. They don't have to put up 25+ points a game. But they need to have some sort of scoring ability and some sort of outside shot. Got to be able to at least give you 10, 12 points a game. Ben Simmons is a great defender, and he's a good passer and a good rebounder. He cannot shoot at all. He has no offensive game whatsoever. So I say, put him in power forward. Tell him, don't worry about scoring. Just play great defense, like you did in Philly. His last time he played a full season, he finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting. Grab 18 rebounds, get 5 assists. Be a facilitator for KD. and Kyrie and all those other guys, and Joe Harris, if Steph Curry's back next year, be a facilitator for all those guys, and that's going to be your role as a starting power forward. And your job is not going to be to score. Can't shoot free throws either, so they're just going to hack him when he goes to the basket. They're just going to foul him. I mean, yes, he is good at taking it to the hole. He's got good size for a guy who a lot of times plays point guard. I mean, he's basically a point guard on the power forward's body. For some reason, he always plays point guard. And he takes it the hole very well. It's just that he can't make free throws. So what people realized in the playoffs last year, he can't make free throws. Let's just foul him. It's just it was hack-a-ban. That's going to continue since people realize he can't shoot free throws. So the next got to do something. They may need to make a coaching change. I'm not sure if Steve Nash is the right coach of that team. So they may need to bring in somebody else, but they might be sticking with him. We'll see what they do there, but that's my thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets. They might be in a little bit of trouble. Yeah, so that's all I got for NBA. Let's talk about some NHL now. Playoffs start tonight for the NHL. We got Game 1, Boston and Carolina. That's at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. That's a few really good games, a lot of really good series, especially in the East. At 7:30, we have Tampa and Toronto. That's a really good series. Tampa had a really good year as to Toronto. Toronto was third in the Eastern Conference this year, but they have not won a first-round playoff series in years. And they draw a tough matchup, I think, in Tampa because Tampa's a two-time defending champ, so they didn't have as good a year, but still had, I think, 108 points this year, and they ended up finishing, I think, 5th in the East. I mean, 108 points could have been top 2 or 3 in a lot of other years, but this year the East was so stacked. I mean, my Rangers, I think, finished with 108 as well, or 100 or maybe 100, 110. They were 4th, and they were, if they didn't have a tiebreaker over Tampa, they would have been in 5th. That's how stacked the East was. And then going to the West at 9:30, we have St. Louis and Minnesota, Blues Wild. That should be a great series. Wild, first half of the season, they were kind of pedestrian. They were kind of just hanging around the playoff picture. In the second half, they had that low win streak, and then they were red hot. They were one of the best teams in the league in the second half of the season, and they ended up climbing into the top 4 in the West. And I think they ended up getting second in the West. They had a huge second half. They're a great team. They went out and got Marc-Andre Fleury at the trade deadline, upgrade their goaltending, which is really the missing piece for them. So that was a really big pickup by Minnesota. They're playing the St. Louis Blues, who are also a great team. Blues only won the Cup 2 years ago. The memorable Cup run. Maybe Boston a couple years ago. They're a team that's always in the mix. They're just always there. That should be a really good series. And at 10 o'clock, Game 1, Kings and Oilers, which should also be a good series. Kings are a team that's got some playoff experience. I don't think they have Drew Doughty, who's injured. They got Jonathan Quick, who's still a good goalie. They still got a couple pieces from that team that won the Cup. And I think it was 2014. I think they also won in 2012. So they got some guys there. Edmonton, who's a good team, finished 5th in the West, had over 100 points. This team has also had trouble getting out of the first round of the playoff, even though they got probably the top 2 players in the league, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Their defense has never been great, but they got probably the 2 best players on the planet in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. This is a team that got to a hot start this year, and then they started falling apart. The coach called out their goaltending, and the goalie, Mikko Koskinen, fired back, saying, I haven't played well, but we also haven't scored well enough. And they ended up making a coaching change, which is really worked, because when they made the coaching change, I think they were competing for a wild card spot. They had fallen that far off, and they ended up getting, I think, 5th in the West, 5th or 6th. So since they made the coaching change, so that should be a good series. There's a lot of good series, and then the other series we have, my Rangers put the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round. That should be a good series. Keynote Penguins All-Star goalie Christian Jarry is expected to miss the beginning of that series, so it's a big loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins. You also got Washington and Florida. Florida finished this year with 122 points, most of the National Hockey League. They won the President's Trophy. They'll play Washington. Washington's an 8 seed. Anything, I think, of like 102 points or something. I mean, they got Alex Ovechkin, one of the greatest goal scorers in the history of the NHL. Another huge year for him this year. That should be a good series. And then you got Nashville and West. You also have Nashville and Colorado. Colorado finished 120 points, most in the Western Conference. They kind of ran away with the West this year. Should be considered the favorite to come out. And Dallas and Calgary is a pretty good series as well. Calgary, outside the very beginning of the year where they were slumping a bit, they were just kind of hanging around the playoff picture. Most of the year, they've been red hot. Kind of similar to Minnesota, how, like, in the first half of the season, Minnesota was just hanging around. They were maybe a top 8 team. They're all right, yeah, they'll make the playoffs, probably lose in the first round, maybe the second. And in the second half, they caught absolute fire, and they were scorching hot, and they became a top 4 team in the West. They ended up finishing second. Their team has a chance to go to the Stanley Cup final. Calgary is like the same thing, except that they really turned it around and hit their stride even earlier than Minnesota. Since like probably even before the All-Star break, they've been one of the hottest teams in the league for a while, and they ended up being a top 3 team in the West for most of the year. They finished third, just ahead of St. Louis and just behind Minnesota. And they played the Dallas Stars in the first round. I'll give my predictions for the first round. I'll say Boston and Carolina. I'll say Carolina in 6 games. Carolina's a really good team. Very well coached team by Rod Brindamore. They got a lot of good young scorers on that team. They're very good defensively. They're really good on special teams. They got solid goals. That's a really good team. They were stuck on the East for a reason. I'll take them. Nothing against Boston. They're a good team. They got the best line in hockey, arguably, with Patrice Bergeron, Ilya Pasternak, and Brad Marchand. You got 3 excellent goal scorers. Obviously, Patrice Bergeron is an excellent defender. He's probably the best defensive forward maybe ever. He's got 4 Selke trophies for a reason. But defensively, they're a little shaky. Their goaltending has been great with Tuukka Rask not playing this year. He had the injury, he came back, and then he retired about a couple weeks later. So their goaltending is a little bit shaky for me, so I will take the Carolina Hurricanes in that series. Then we also got, what else series we got? Toronto and Tampa. I'm actually going to take Tampa in 6 games in that one. Tampa just got too much experience. They're still a great team. They got the second or third best goalie in the league this year, and probably overall best with, the best is Igor Shesterkin this year. But obviously Shesterkin isn't as proven as Andrei Vasilevsky. So Vasilevsky is one of the best goalies in the league. You got him. You still got a really deep team with a lot of great goal scorers. You got probably the best D-man in the league in Victor Hedman. Pat Jack just wrote, Tampa is Tampa and Toronto is Toronto. Yep, that's true. Tampa's a team that's won 2 straight cups. Toronto hasn't been out of the first round, and God knows when. I think the Atlanta Thrashers have won the first round series more recent than the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the Thrashers haven't been a team in like 15 years. They're not a Winnipeg Jets. 3 conference finals since 1967. Wow. That's bad. My New York Rangers went 54 years without winning a cup from 1940 to 1994. That was the all-time record for drought without a Stanley Cup trophy. And now I believe Toronto broke them. They have not won a cup in this would be the 55th year in a row. So you're a Canucks fan? All right, the Canucks had actually, Patrick, if you agree with the numbers, if they had Bruce Boudreau from the start, they may have been a top 6 team in the West. So unfortunately, they did not make the playoffs, but they made a run late. I was looking at their numbers. I realized, wait a minute, under Bruce Boudreau, they were one of the better teams in the league, honestly. If they had started with him, they may have easily been the playoff team. Yeah, they had a valiant finish to the year. And yes, coaching is very important. I think the NHL is pretty important, especially. That's a very good point, Pat Jack. Yeah. So next year, I think looking up, they got a lot of good young players. Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson. I like Dr. Demko in goal, and now with Richie was at Doris Burke. For context, I've done my Doris Burke impression on some other people's shows, like on Pat's show, Zach's show. So that's what that's about. Yeah, maybe I'll do it eventually on someone else's show. Maybe on Pat Rush's show later. I'll do that. Yeah. But I'm taking Tampa over Toronto in 6 games. And going back to Vancouver, yeah, I think they're in good shape. Patrick, have you heard anything about whether he's going to stay, Boudreaux? Because I thought I read an article that he's not guaranteed to come back, which I don't think makes any sense because he did such a great job, and he's a good coach. Not sure if you've heard anything. I would think they would bring him back, or maybe on his contract saying like, now they gave him like a 1-year deal with like an option for a second year, and they haven't picked up the option yet. You would think they would have already picked it up, so maybe they're still considering whether or not to bring him back. Yeah, I guess their goal was to make the playoffs again, and they didn't do it. I don't know. I would definitely bring him back. At least give him a shot next year to take this team to the playoffs. So that's what we got. As for Blues and Wild, that's a good series. I'll take Minnesota in 7 games. I think that's a great series, but I think the Wild are just a little bit better. That was a team that was really, really good. They didn't really have great goaltending. A couple Talkin wasn't having a great year. Although Cam Talbot has played well. The only one's like good, not great. And then they went out and got Marc-Andre Fleury. You're still one of the best goalies in the NHL. You got him from Chicago. And that's really completed their team. And also Cam Talbot's been good too. So, and the Blues are very good. They got a great goalie in Jordan Binnington. They got a complete team. They got experience, but I'll take Minnesota in 7. Los Angeles Kings, Edmonton Oilers. I'm gonna say got my roommate Justin, my boy Justin. You guys know him. His name is Zero Maids on his app. He's saying we're Justin M. Alter. He's got a bunch of different names. He goes on the different aliases to try to trick me when he comes into my show. He's saying Kings in 7. He's a bit of a Kings fan. He's got a connection to them. I'm actually going to agree with him. Kings in 7. I just do not trust the Oilers in the playoffs. They got the 2 best players in the world in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, arguably, but they just can't win a playoff series, and I think that continues. Kings are a veteran team. They got playoff experience. John McQuick's a veteran goalie with 2 cups for a reason, so I'll take the Kings in 7 over Edmonton. I think the Kings are a little bit of an underrated team. Other series, Rangers and Penguins. I might be a little biased with this one, but I'm going to say the Rangers in 5. The Penguins have a lot of good playoff experience. They're an older team, but with being older comes, guys decline. They have some guys that are a little bit older, that aren't the same. I don't think I'm getting Malkin the same. Even Sidney Crosby is taking a little bit of a step back. Their goalie, Jerry's out the first 2 games. I don't know who their backup goalie is. Maybe it's Casey DeSmith. Rangers got a lot of good goal scorers. You got Kreider put up 52. Artemi Panarin had over 90 points. Mika Zibanejad had 30-plus goals. He had over 90 points. Ryan Strome had 20-plus goals. Lafreniere had almost 20 goals. So they got some guys that can score. So the Penguins being without their top goalie will really hurt them. And Penguins' defense really isn't that good, honestly. So I'll take the Rangers to beat the Penguins in 5. And Gerard Gallant's been here before. He's had some deep playoff runs in this day. The guy who I think should be coach of the year. And also the Rangers got the best goalie in the National Hockey League this year in Igor Shesterkin, which would be a big plus. So I'll take the Rangers in 5, actually. I would have said 6 or 7. But with the Penguins down their goalie, Rangers probably are going up at least 2-1. So I'll take them in 6. In 5, rather. Florida and Washington. I'm taking Florida in 5. Nothing against Washington. In a lot of other years, they would have been a much better team. And I say, I think they should have kept Fleury. Yeah, that was not a good move. They thought Matt Murray was going to be the next Fleury, and he just wasn't. He won a couple cups with them, but they had very, very good teams with Murray. And Murray kind of fizzled out. They sent him to Ottawa a couple years ago. Ottawa signed him to a huge contract, and then he just falls off the face of the earth. And Jerry's good, but he's not Marc-Andre Fleury. That was not a great move to let him be unprotected and let Vegas draft him. So that's not a good move by the Penguins. Florida in 5 over Washington. Washington's got Ovechkin. He might be the greatest goal scorer of his generation. But Florida's the best points in the league this year. Such a great team. So many great scorers. Huberdeau, Barkov. So many guys on my team. Aaron Ekblad, Stud D-Man. They got good goaltending. Sergei Bobrovsky had a bounce back year. The young guy Spencer Knight played well. They're a really good team, and I'll take Florida in 5. Washington's goaltending is kind of good, not great. I don't love their defense. I don't love their pieces outside of Ovechkin either. They're not a one-man show, but I don't think they have enough to make a deep playoff run, and they drew a tough matchup against the Florida Panthers as well. Avalanche and Predators. I'll take Colorado in 5. Nashville, they're a solid team. They're good defensively, but I'm not sure if they have enough goal scoring. They got some guys that can score there. Philip Forsberg is definitely one of them. UC Saros is a good goalie, but Colorado, their defense isn't great. I don't have them going all the way like a lot of people do because of their defense, but their goal scoring is amazing. Nathan McKinnon, Igor Radin, Gabriel Landeskog, Andrei Burakovsky's good. You just go down the list with that team. They got so many, guys like Nazem Kadri, Tyson Johnson. I think they still have him. That team might be the best offensive team in the league. I think they're going to overpower Nashville in that first round series. And then Dallas and Calgary. I'll take Calgary in 6. Dallas is nothing special. They got some guys there. Jimmy Benn, Sager are still 2 really good players. Every unit can play Big Fair falls away. That's true. I think it's coming Florida out early. I think that's very possible, Pat Jack. I agree with that. Colorado, they don't have very good defense. They got Darcy Kemper goes a good goalie, but he doesn't have a ton of playoff experience. I wouldn't call him great either. Florida's goaltending is good, but it's not as good as some other teams. I think Florida's got a chance to make a run. I don't think they'll go to the Cup final, but I think they can get to the Eastern Conference final. But I think Colorado could lose in the second round for sure. And yeah, I got Calgary over Dallas in 6 games. Calgary's really good offensively. They got Johnny Hockey, Johnny Gaudreau. They got a lot of other really good young players. Jacob Markstrom's had a really good year in goal. I'll take them. Dallas is young. Anton Khudobin's a good, not great goalie. Ben Sagan are older. Alexander Radulov's there. They got some other good young players. Riddick, Faska, whatever his name is. They're pretty good defensively. I don't know if they have enough offensively. I'll take Calgary in 6. So that's why I got for the NHL playoff. That's my predictions for the first round. We'll see where that goes. All right, let's talk about. Let's mention golf. Talk about some golf. John Rahm. I mentioned quickly. John Rahm. Congrats to him. He won the Mexico Open at Vidana. He went wire to wire. He wins $1.3 million. So he gets a lot of money. Big win for him. This is a guy who, entering the year, was the number 1 player in the world. Had a huge year last year. He had a major win. He won a bunch of tournaments. Had a huge year. Spanish guy, outstanding player. He's one of my favorite players on tour. I really like John Rahm. Great player. He doesn't bloat or anything. Very laid back. Very classy guy. Classy in victory. Classy in defeat. He's always good in these Ryder Cups, these Presidents Cup. He's always dangerous. For the European team. He's just such a great player. Does everything right. Puts his butt off. One of the best players on tour. And he had struggled a little bit this year, but he gets a big win at Mexico Open at Vidana. I think he's the number 3 player in the world. So huge win for him. Starting Thursday, we got the Wells Fargo Championship at TPC Potomac in Maryland. Purse is $9 million. Roy McIlroy is the defending champion. He won $1.45 million when he won last year. So we'll see if someone wins similar to that. And it's crazy how much money these golfers win. Some of these tournaments, guys, I've seen tournaments where guys win like $10 million for winning one tournament. That's just nuts how much money these golfers win for winning. Imagine being John Rahm's agent. He won $1.3 million. Your agent gets what, 20%? I can't do math, so I do not know off the top of my head, but that is just nuts. But yeah, Wells Fargo Championship this week. Next week, we got the Brian Nelson. And then in 2 weeks from Thursday is the PGA Championship at Southern Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma. 26,000. Well, that's, if you're saying that's for the agent, Patrick, that's not bad at all. He wakes up, the guy's agent, he helped, book his tee time with the other golfers, make a couple phone calls, just did a couple other things, and he makes $26,000. Wow, that's incredible. Gotta be so easy, yeah. Easiest 26,000 someone's ever made. That's nuts. That's nuts. But yeah, that's what we got coming up for golf. As for baseball, let's go over the scores from yesterday. Orioles over the Red Sox 9-5. Man, the Red Sox are really struggling. 9-14. They're just a half game ahead of Baltimore. Twins over the Rays 9-3. Padres over the Pirates 5-2. Blue Jays over the Astros 3-2. Those Blue Jays, they look really good. They're the only team besides the Mets and only team in the American League to win every series so far this year. 15-8. That team might win that division. They're looking great. Mariners over the Marlins 7-3. Marlins do look good though. They're playing really well for 12-9. Look out for them. We got the Cubs over the Brewers 2-0. Brewers do look good though. They won the division. Yankees over the Royals 6-4. Not a Yankee fan, but they're red hot right now, 16-6. Angels over the White Sox 6-5. Angels 15-8. What a start for them. Cardinals over the Diamondbacks 7-5. Rangers over the Braves 7-3. Braves are off to a tough start, 10-13. Had been without Ronald Acuna for most of that, so maybe that'll be part of it. And of course, they lost Freeman, but they traded for an extended Matt Olson, who's just as good. Colorado tramples the Reds 10-1. Exactly right. I missed Doris Burke. Yeah, maybe she'll show up in your show, Zach. Possibly. By the way, Zach, I am so sorry about your Cincinnati Reds. 3-19. Oh my goodness. My apologies. That's tough. Nationals over the Giants 11-5. Zach's been trying to get here working on it all week. Maybe you'll have some luck later today at 6. I don't know. Cleveland against Oakland. Cleveland will knock game 7-3. Dodgers over the Tigers 6-3. Tigers look tough. They look bad. 7-14. My Mets over the Phillies 10-6. Mets 16-7. Best team in the National League. And Justin, welcome in. You're literally sitting right behind me in my room. Welcome in. As for today, we got Cardinals leading the Royals 1-0. In the fourth, White Sox and Angels are just getting underway. We got Arizona against Miami, 6:40 Eastern. 7:05, Twins and Orioles, 7:07. Yankees and Blue Jays, top two teams in the American League right now, I think. 7:10, Braves, Mets on MLB Network. 8:10, Mariners, Astros. 9:40, Rays and Athletics. And that's all we got for MLB today. That's it. That's it for baseball. Now let's get into what I really want to talk about, the NFL Draft. NFL Draft. Finished up over the weekend. Was an incredible draft. Very exciting. That first round was nuts. So many trades. I thought there would not be a lot of trades this year, just because I didn't think a lot of teams would want to trade up, but I was wrong. There were 9 trades in the first round. In the first round alone, there were 9 trades. That's just crazy. At one point, there was 3 trades in a row. I was like, holy moly, what's going on? Not every round, but after the first round, I'll talk about just some notable picks that were outside the first round. I was like, wow, that's a steal. It's got to be pretty good. So Jaguars took Trevon Walker number 1. I'm not sure how much I agree with that, but I would have taken Hutchinson. I think Walker's a great player and a top 10 overall draft pick, maybe even top 5. He's a stud at Georgia. By the way, Georgia had 15 players drafted. 15. That's That's lit. 15 players from one team. That's crazy. That team was amazing. That defense might be the best defense in the history of college football last year, Georgia. You could not score on them. Alabama got Bryce Young at quarterback, a guy who's might be the number one pick in the draft next year. And then you had who's the receiver they had? Maybe they had a first round guy because they had John Menchie was a second round draft selection. One of their running backs, Brian Robinson, was a third round draft selection. They had a great offensive line, and you still just had to completely shut them down, Georgia. And just once a mic, let's put him on. He's really sitting right behind me. My roommate, he's sitting right behind me. Let's put him on. That Georgia defense, though, that was a defense and a half last year. What a performance, especially in the national championship game. Hi, Justin.
Hi, Jake. Thanks for having me on the mic. Thanks for having me here. I know I'm sitting right behind you, but yes. What's up, guys? My name is Justin. I went by many names like Zero Maiden or Justin Tech or Tyreek Hill Simp. I've went on those things before. What name I don't go under though is Justin Sports Fan. I am a sports fan. I am a sports fan. I am my name is Justin, but fuck X Games, and I'm just here to join you to talk about the NFL draft.
Yeah, for context, y'all. So Justin Sports Fan is known as a troll on his app. He also did some very inappropriate things, so he was banned from the Discord and from Colorcast. And so Justin's been kind of like mooching around Colorcast, and people have been getting scared because the name Justin is traumatizing for the Zap. But this is not just a sports fan. Justin's cool. Justin's great. Completely different guy. So, without further ado, Justin, what do you want to talk about when it comes to the NFL draft?
Okay. I'm going to make a hot take.
Mm-hmm.
The Sauce Gardner pick for the Jets was good, but I did not think it's what they needed.
Really?
I feel that I feel that they could have maybe gotten Sauce Gardner at 10th. And the reason why I say that is because immediately after the Jets picked Ahmad Gardner, nicknamed Sauce, the Giants picked up Evan Neal, which is an offensive lineman. And when I'm looking at that team, like you're saying, yes, you do need defense. Like you're saying, the Jets need everything. They're the Jets. I'm a Jets fan. Jets suck. It's true. Everyone knows it. But here's the thing, Zach Wilson, I think, is a quarterback that can go places. And when you do that, and when you have faith in a quarterback, you need to back him up. And the thing is this, yes, they did draft Garrett Wilson at 10th. That was smart. I did think they needed another receiver. But I feel that it doesn't matter that you got him when you really need somebody to give him time to throw the ball. I don't care if George Font played well last year. They need another lineman, and I thought Evan Neal would have been the guy to do it more because now they have a good quarterback in Zach Wilson who I think can go places, unlike Daniel Jones, who has proven to be garbage on multiple years at this point. To guard Daniel Jones without him saying they don't need an offensive lineman to guard a quarterback who sucks. What are you going to give him? Give him more time to throw a pick? Come on. I'm not a fan of it. I thought the Jets could have done a lot more with Evan Neal and then could have pursued him later on, or they could have picked up Evan Neal and then Garrett Wilson. But I just thought their order. I thought Garrett Wilson. I thought Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner were excellent pickups, especially Sauce Gardner with the way he played in college. Absolutely fantastic. But I feel that the backup Zach Wilson was not what that team needed.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. Offensive line was definitely one of their biggest needs. I thought it was a great pick is because they also needed a lot of help in the secondary. Their secondary was garbage last year. So you really shouldn't draft for need in the draft. You should draft all right. If you need offense, draft the best offensive guy available. Unless like you don't need a quarterback and the quarterback's the best guy available, then all right. Then if there's a receiver available, take a receiver. If you need defense, draft the great defensive guy. The Jets needed help on both sides of the ball, and by help I mean a lot of it. So I was honestly fine. If it took Evan Neal, I would have been over the moon happy. If you Kwanu, I would have been over the moon happy. If they took Kim Thibodeau, I would have been over the moon happy. They didn't need an edge guy. Taking him on Garner, I'm over the moon happy. So I absolutely understand what you're saying. They do need another offensive lineman. Mekhi Becton can't stay healthy. But I was hyped with the pick just because that still fills a need, and Elmore Garner is an absolute great player. And I do like the O-line that took in the 4th round, Max Mitchell. He's a perfect fit for their zone run scheme. He's a bit of a project, but we'll see how he turns out. But I understand where you're coming from. I've said on multiple shows prior to the draft, if I can see Zach Wilson get sacked again, I might cry because I'm just tired of seeing him run for his life.
Yeah. You know what? I gotta ask. What did you think about the absolute, in my opinion, a dumpster fire of a draft that the Packers had? Green Bay once again threw a fucking offseason for Aaron Rodgers. Loved that. They decide, let's get a wide receiver in the second round, nonetheless, when they could have used one in the first because they're not missing much. That's right, they're not missing much. Only Devontae Adams, who's what is it? Top 5, top 10, top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. Oh yeah, but let's just draft a wide receiver in the second round because that's smart. I don't know what the hell they want. Do they want Aaron Rodgers to leave? I feel like they do. What do you think?
Okay, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers front office hate each other. There's no way around it. They hate each other. And I don't think I have two very good players. Quay Walker is very good. I thought Devin Lloyd was a better prospect than him. On paper, I thought his teammate Nakobe Dean was better than him, but with Nakobe Dean, to the reason for sliding was because of medical, so I understand why they would value Quay Walker over Nakobe Dean. I mean, they play for the same dominant Georgia defense, and if Quay Walker's got better health than Nakobe Dean, then that's understandable. But and then also got Deontay White, defensive tackle. He's an underrated guy, great player, second best D tackle in this draft besides, of course, Jordan Davis, who was a big part of that Georgia defense as well. Freakish athlete. They got two really good players. They had two big pieces to their defense, which need a little bit of help. So I really like what they did. But I thought wide receiver was the number one need, and they had a chance to fill it. Like I said, you just want to do what you can to make your team better in the first round of the draft. You don't exactly have to draft for need. But if you have a chance to fill a need and the guy you get is a great player, you should absolutely do that. And their biggest need was clearly wide receiver, since the only great receiver they had, Devontae Adams, is now playing in the Las Vegas Raiders. And there were some receivers that were still on the board. A receiver heavy draft. They could have gotten somebody. I mean, there was probably like five or six that already went, but I thought they still could have taken a wide receiver. Look at some of the guys that went in the second round at the receiver position. Christian Watson was a guy who was the first guy that I ended up taking. We ended up getting George Pickens out of Georgia. I thought him going 52nd overall to the Pittsburgh was a huge steal for Pittsburgh. Is anyone going to blame them if they were to take George Pickens at, let's say, the 28th pick? I don't think so. I wouldn't have. So yeah, I thought they should have taken the receiver a little bit earlier. At the same time, they got to really good play on defense. And Patrick, I just put in the chat, do you see Watson's drop rating? I did not. I'm not sure if you're saying he had some drop issue, but if so, that's definitely a problem.
Also, before I go, I know I got 45 seconds left. I'm just going to say this right now. I'm going to plug myself. I'm going to shout out myself here. On a podcast that Jake and I did 2 weeks ago, I predicted that the Commanders would trade up or trade down. I forgot what I knew that they would trade in the first round. I knew it. I said they would, and they did. I'm a freaking genius. Now, also another thing is this: I also said that I vouched for Sam Howell, and what a surprise! He went to the team with the dog shit quarterback named Carson Wentz. So all I'm gonna say is Sam Howell is the offensive player of the year and MVP and rookie of the year and comeback player of the year. And see ya.
Thank you so much, Justin, for coming on. The show he's referring to is called Jake and Justin in the Morning. It's not on Colorcast, but it is all over YouTube. You should go check it out. It's a great show. Justin and I think do a great job. So you should check that out. And that's an alarming drop rate. 12.7% for Christian Watson. Ouch. And North Dakota State, nonetheless. That's a little concerning for me. But thank you, Justin, for tuning in.
Yes,
and thanking him, talking into my phone. Meanwhile, he's standing about 10 feet behind me.
Yeah, no problem.
You probably hear him. So, yeah, but definitely check out our other show as well. But yeah, so those are his thoughts on the draft. I'm actually going to go team by team when it comes to the draft. Start in the AFC East. I start with the Buffalo Bills. The Bills did a decent job. I like them getting Kaiir Lam. I like that move. Them getting him. I'm not sure if I would have moved up for him. I'm not sure if I would have. If I think they still could have got him at 25, and they move up two spots to get him. I'm not sure if I would have moved up, but they did get a very good corner in Kaiir Lam out of Florida. They needed help in the secondary, and they got that. So that's a plus for them. So congrats to them on that. But what I really liked what they did, I love them taking James Cook in the second round. They're running back out of the University of Georgia. That's a great move. James Cook is a really good running back. Georgia has so many great running backs that have come out. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. He had a bit of a short career, but in his prime was a beast. Todd Gurley, just year after year after year, running backs from Georgia come out. So, and he is the younger brother of Dalvin Cook, who's a star running back for the Minnesota Vikings. So that's a big move for the Bills. And now they got two young backs there of him and Singletary. So that's what the Bills did. I love the Jets did. I'll just go over them. They got Ahmad Gardner, the top corner in the draft. He's just they also got Garrett Wilson, who I think is a great receiver at 10. And the 26th pick, they trade back up to get Jermaine Johnson, who's a great edge rusher. I think it's a steal. I like them getting Breece Hall. I like him. I think he's a really good running back. They got two good young backs now, him and Carter. I like them taking Max Mitchell, the offensive tackle. I think he's going to be a really good right tackle for us for a while. I think that's a bit of a steal. It's a perfect fit for their zone run scheme. It's also a lifetime Lakin Thompson earlier this offseason for the same reason. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, just did a really good job. I like the tight end. I like the tight end that they took. So I really like what the New York Jets did in the draft. Not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of what the New England Patriots did. As a Jet fan, I should know better than betting against Bill Belichick, but they did move back from 21 to 29, but Cole Strange, offensive guard out of Chattanooga. I don't even care about the small school. There have been small school guys that have worked out really well, but he was a projected third round draft pick, and you're taking him in the first round. That just doesn't make any sense. I think it was a reach. They didn't need another offensive guard after they traded away Shaq Mason for a late round pick until they got back for him to Tampa. But to reach for Cole Strange, that's a team that said, opposed to getting the best available player, we're going to draft for a very specific need, which is never a good idea. And they went out and reached for Cole Strange out of Chattanooga, who had a nice run in the college basketball, made it to the tournament this year. But football, I didn't even know they had a football team until I saw Cole Strange Chattanooga go across my TV screen on the 28th of April. and they're in the first round. I mean, he's a high motor guy, which Belichick likes, and I know better. Everyone else knows better than betting against Bill Belichick, of all people. But this guy Cole Strange, I don't even know who he is. He's a third-round draft pick. That's what he's projected to be, and to take him in the first round, I just don't think it's a good move. Also, you took Bailey Zappa, quarterback, in the fourth round. You took a quarterback in the first round last year, Mac Jones, who was an offensive rookie of the year candidate, had a really good rookie year, might be something really special. I understand maybe taking one in like the 6th or 7th round, maybe just for some depth. But the fourth round, I don't think that makes a lot of sense. You see a guy Sam Howell go in the 5th, and Sam Howell might be a starting quarterback one day. I'm sure that's what Washington is hoping. That he's a successor for Carson Wentz in a couple years, maybe even next year. So fourth round, a lot of time you take a quarterback there, you're hoping in a couple years he's your starter, and you can win a Super Bowl with him eventually. And obviously that's not the plan with Bailey Zapp because they have Mac Jones. Well, they really don't like Mac Jones, but Mac Jones hasn't shown them anything overly bad. In fact, it's been the contrary. He was very good last year as a rookie, 22 touchdowns last year. So I thought that didn't make a lot of sense. If I'm Mac Jones, I'll be like, yo, guys, I could use a little bit of help. I mean, with, no true number one receiver, if I'm having the year I had and we're going to the playoffs, imagine if you get me a number one receiver, and then what you decide to do, you decide you reach for an offensive lineman. Although we need another guard, we really don't necessarily need. You still have a really good offensive line. You take another quarterback, a guy who's going to be my backup for the next couple of years. That's the highlight. They took a fast receiver in Tyquan Thornton in the second round, but that's the highlight of your draft. So I don't really like what the New England Patriots did, honestly. I know I say that, but I don't think Belichick did a great job in this draft. We shall see, but I love what they did. And Miami Dolphins, I won't touch on them much. They didn't have a lot of draft picks because of the Tyreek Hill trade. They did okay. They didn't draft until the third round. I do like chanting Tyndall Leonard. Took him a third round. He's pretty good. I didn't mind them taking Eric Ezukanma, receiver from Texas Tech. I know receiver is certainly not a weakness. They have two great receivers. Tyreek Hill's top 5 in the league. Jalen Waddle was offensive rookie of the year candidate last year. He's going to be a stud for a long time. They got maybe the 2 best receivers in the entire NFL. We also got to remember they did trade Devontae Parker to the New England Patriots. So they have some other guys there, some depth guys there. They ain't need a receiver, but if Ezukanma is a decent player in his first year, if he's like an okay player, that's probably he could possibly be an upgrade for the number 4 receiver for whoever it is. So didn't mind that pick. Either way, Channing Tindall, the third round linebacker, is a really good player. That's all I got for you guys today. Tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. Once again, we are going to continue the NFL draft conversation. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Thank you, Justin, for jumping on and giving your draft notes. Thank you, Pat Rush, for jumping in. Thank you, Pat Jack, for your conversation. And thank you, Zach, for popping in. Thank you, Richie from PNR, for popping in. Until tomorrow, so long. Have a great day.